This is a moment taken from Splitgate in a game mode called Oddball, where possession of the ball grants points. However, the ability to place portals makes it incredibly amusing. I plant a portal in anticipation of the enemy team. At the first sign of danger, I proceed through and one of the enemy players directly passes me. Then I return the way I came, and as I do, the player chasing me travels through the portal in the opposite direction. And using a little trickery, I managed to get 2 melee kills out of the exchange. All of this is to say that the portal mechanic works incredibly well, and it creates some of the best stupid fun I've had in a game in a while. However, I am acutely aware that the game has a mixed reception due to some notable flaws, and I really want the developers to iron these out because this is a game that deserves success. The slower, floatier style movement of the game might dissuade people who are convinced by its description as an arena shooter, but its similarities to Halo combat means it inherits those benefits. If that's all there was to it, I'd be reluctant to recommend it, but the ability to place portals completely alters the moment-to-moment gameplay. Leaving a portal some distance away from the firefight means you can make a swift exit, or you can place 2 portals on opposing walls to give the enemy the jump mid-shootout. In many of the maps, you can shorten the initial travel time to reach the center of the stage with some well-placed portals. At other times, it wears its inspiration on its chest by allowing you to manipulate momentum in fancy ways. The visual and audio feedback from running and gunning is pretty weak overall, but this is offset by the sheer elation that completely duping your opponent provokes. Despite my glowing praise of the title, you'll find that the Steam reviews are currently mixed, so why don't we go look at what people are saying. The number one complaint I see is with the map design, and this is the one I feel needs the most urgent attention. For this video, I tried to record a particularly fun match in full, but this was a frustrating experience, because some of these maps are just outright bad. It's a shame because the core gameplay is phenomenal, and a couple of the maps really emphasize that. So yeah, this map is exactly what you should be expecting from something in the style of this game, because what you have is a lot of verticality, a lot of blue walls that you can actually place portals on. And what that means is, you can kind of mess about and do some interesting stuff in the central area. But even if you're not in the central area, it's not like the other places are lacking in blue walls. I can place one there, and like, you've got ones here. So you're in this area down here, you can go, boom, now you're up here. This is really good design. You can like even go all the way out of field like that. And now I'm over here. There's a lot of movement opportunities, a lot of places to go and do things. I like this. So this is an example of a pretty bad map actually, because what you have is, you have all these blue walls around here, but not many of them have a lot of height, or if they are, they're sort of in inconvenient areas. There's not a lot of places strategically, aside from this one here, to really mess about with. Because you could enter here, but without any height, you can't do a lot with it. This tower also acts as a really annoying sniping spot. The major problem with this map, beyond the fact that the indoor areas are very tightly constrained and it's all these sort of tiny blue walls just littered around the place, is these side areas where they give you a sniper. There are no blue walls, and you can just snipe from here, like quite long distances, because there's aim down sights and they've just offered you a sniper as well. Not that aim down sights with a sniper is that unusual. Yeah, no, the lack of a blue wall just even here makes a massive difference, because people can kind of camp here, and even when you're walking out the spawn, it's like, you can take pot shots. I don't like this. I don't like this map. It needs a lot of work. Get rid of these side areas, add more blue walls around these towers, and just really make it crazy. And even ones like in the floor or something. And that would, you know, help to mitigate the problems. Some of the maps probably need bigger reworks, but many could benefit greatly from better and more liberal blue wall placement. Currently, jumping into a match means you're essentially rolling the dice to get a good map with a good mode. And this is the number one issue that needs to be addressed to keep new players from being scared off. Being able to place portals without a cooldown turns battles into frantic pseudo-strategy, where you're always thinking of the most appropriate flanking method or escape route. However, these plans are sometimes brought to a sudden conclusion when you fail to enter your own portals. I've seen a couple of people suggest making these portals bigger, but there's a far simpler solution. Give the portals a stronger pull when in mid-air. It's currently challenging to line up between two vertical portals, and making it a little more forgiving could open up new gameplay opportunities. It also means that intentionally jumping into a horizontal portal could help with the aforementioned issue. I don't think this needs a massive upheaval, as the simplicity of the controls gives it a wonderful pick up and play element, but some added leniency could be handy. It's clear that the game takes matchmaking notes from Overwatch, as that game streamlined menus to make jumping into a game as fast as possible, but I honestly believe it can do a lot better. If player numbers decrease in the coming weeks, a server browser may prove vital in keeping the game alive. Alternatively, a playlist matchmaking system a la Rocket League or Titanfall 2 would help keep game modes populated, as people can search for multiple simultaneously. I would also recommend adding more detail to the matchmaking progress box, perhaps stating how many players have been found so far, to give an idea of how long it will take. For ranked maps, perhaps do what Overwatch does, and provide a warm-up period to find a new player if somebody disconnects when loading, instead of just cancelling the match. Finally, an option to search for a new match with whoever's left in the server after the game has ended would reduce waiting times overall. Splitgate is free to play, and you know what that means. Microtransactions. I appreciate that they're only cosmetic, but I've never been a fan of loot boxes. I understand that the developers need to make money somehow, but I think it would be better received if they opted for a different format. One that I was previously critical of Overkill Software for adopting several years ago in Payday 2. Support the developers. Path of Exile has performed incredibly well on a concept of goodwill, by making it evident to the players that their cosmetic microtransactions serve this purpose. That sentiment even allowed them to get away with some shockingly expensive items. Splitgate also suffers from some pretty generic customization options. Very often you'll encounter a lineup of players who all look more or less the same, and I honestly cannot see people paying money for most of these outfits. Even some rudimentary color customization would work, just look at Warframe. I do understand not wanting the visual style to contrast the gameplay, but surely that's better than the visual style being at odds with making money. Splitgate has a lot of potential, and I absolutely recommend it to anybody intrigued by the idea of Halo with portal guns. Despite some notable flaws, it is an enthralling, addicting experience. I'd like to see some map overhaul soon, as I fear that players in the long term may be turned away by that inconsistency. 1047 Games has a brilliant concept in their hands. Splitgate is an absolute joy to play. But if this game fades into obscurity, I'm not sure I'll be able to forgive them for it.